Welcome to Seeing More of the Universe. I'm your host, Alyssa Goodman. Today's featured item here is the 10 questions to ask when creating a visualization website. It has its own explanatory short video, so I'm going to just launch right into that for you here and come back to say goodbye. Hi, I'm Alyssa Goodman, one of the co-creators of the 10 questions to ask when creating a visualization website. I created this along with my visualization friend and colleague Arzu Cheltikin a few years ago to try to address the question we get asked all the time. How do I make better data visualizations? Where are some guidelines I can use? Where is a prescription I can follow? Where is a recipe? Okay, well, there are no recipes. There really aren't guidelines. And really, the best we can do is offer you questions that you should ask yourself and examples of how people have answered these questions in the past. So this website does that through these 10 questions. And if we look at the questions one at a time, which we'll do in a minute, they cover a lot of areas which actually overlap. And I'll point out that for each question, there's a discussion. So let's just click on this who's your audience question here first before we go into the individual questions. And you see if I scroll down, you have some examples, you have these hoverovers that tell you about individual features of the graphs. But importantly, there are these boxes that say join the conversation. And if you click on those, you'll see a more blog-like function where you can filter posts that have to do with the particular question. And we're actually hoping that some of you who watch this video will contribute these posts and make our site much richer. So let's just go back to the questions themselves for a minute. We spent a lot of time in a cafe trying to figure out what to make these questions, and I'm sure we didn't get them perfectly right, according to many other visualization experts, but hopefully there'll be a guide to everyone watching and using the site. So one question everybody would absolutely agree on is number one, which is that the most important consideration in making a graphic is who's your audience, what's their expertise, what's their goal, etc. That one's almost self-explanatory. And I just have to say one more time that this is a very quick overview of what's in this site. And we hope you'll visit 10qviz.org to see what's going on for real. Okay, so next, you have to ask yourself whether you're trying to explain a particular point or whether you're trying to explore data for the sake of exploration. Now, the very best graphics and systems let you actually do both. And we have other videos about that on YouTube, which I'll put in the links below. But for now, just consider these two goals as separate and sometimes overlapping, and be sure that you choose the right one. On categories, it's important when choosing things like colors or shading schemes to know whether or not you're going to keep those consistent with pre-existing human understandable categories that people are going to be looking out for. On a related topic, you have this issue of patterns. And if you're trying to identify new patterns that people have not seen before, you have to use specific tools and specific encodings of the data. And again, that's going to be different whether you're trying to explore the data or explain it, and potentially you will make those choices as you go along. When it comes to prediction and uncertainty, there are so many ways to represent uncertainty depending on context, and none of them are really great. But we do give a nice example on that page of the path of a hurricane, which seems very, very clear, those lines that diverge as you look at a hurricane. Let's just take a look at that one for now. Um, it seems very clear to experts what these lines mean, but you wouldn't believe what it means to novices, not what people intended. So just, I can't stress enough that the who's your audience question is really the most important one here. Okay, so dimensions is a subtle issue where you have to ask yourself what the intrinsic number of dimensions, which could just be columns in a table, they're not necessarily spatial dimensions, in the data that you're looking at are, and how many of them you really want to show at once. That question number 6 is actually related here to number 10, which is what kind of display modes, a piece of paper, a flat screen, augmented reality, movies, moving augmented reality, do you have at your disposal? Which ones are the best to use? And how do you match that up to the dimensionality of your data? Abstraction and accuracy, again, let's take a look at an example of that one. If we look here, you'll see a chart that's not an actual map of the sky or a three-dimensional diagram. It's literally a cartoon of how outflows from young stars work and what the spectra observed at different positions would look like. And this is a figure actually from a very classic astronomy paper that's a wonderful example of a totally abstract view of um, of a phenomenon. And of course, that paper also contains the data, but these cartoons are usually really great at explaining complicated phenomena, and they're really wonderful if you can put them in concert with the actual data, which is not shown here, but we can discuss that another time. Anyway, I just wanted to show you here that at the bottom, there are also ways to have a discussion about any one of these pages. And let's use the next one as an example here. So if we talk about context and scale, we're asking whether you want to put data in some kind of standard frame of reference or coordinate system or show scale. There's an example here of that being done extremely badly, and then of context being used very well. And again, here's people joining the discussion. I'll just point out that you also can use these sophisticated tools here to add annotations to the page. You can tweet about the page, and you can use other social media networks. And so there's a lot going on here. So let me just go back to the last one of the questions that I haven't talked about, which is metadata. And so this is urging people to think about how to include quantitative or non-quantitative additional information like captions or labels on a graph and whether those are necessary and how best to do that. And then, just in case this is too confusing, we do have a page that's just simply called Successes, and you can see some examples of successful visualizations here. And then we have another page that I won't show you right now, that's actually called Challenges. Let's just call that the opposite of Successes. And if you'd like to participate, please visit this how-to page, and it gives you instructions about how to use all these fancy features and then also how to contribute to our site if you have the time and the inclination, and we'd love that. So I hope that was a really quick but useful tour for you, and please do be in touch with us if you have questions. I surely hope that that informal tour was useful to you, as are these questions. And again, you can find them at the website 10qviz.org. Thanks for participating in our series, and feel free to find more videos from Seeing More of the Universe on YouTube. Bye.